What is up? Don't go out there, fans and supporters. Nico and I are back with another instant reaction. This one's technically not even out yet. It was early access, so very limited screenings. He and I both went to see 2024's, obviously, The Substance. And Nico, I'm going to ask you a question off rip. Had you heard of this movie before I texted you about it the other day?
I think I had seen one trailer during one of the movies we went and saw, but did it did it wasn't Speak No Evil. I didn't remember it.
Yeah. Okay. I hadn't I knew nothing about it. I just every couple days I check the Regal app and check like every day to see if there's something showing that night that's like a re-release special screening. But then I also go out to the weekend and be like, hey, what's showing this weekend that I might want to go see? I saw this. I saw The Substance, and based off of the fact that I just looked at the cast, and I was like, okay, Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley. How do you say her? Franklin? That's how you say her last name. Um,
Hey, I'm
based off
rooting
the
for you.
cast, based off the cast and the little picture that they show, I didn't even consider I didn't even consider the possibility that this could be horror. I go to IMDb and it's the first genre that's listed as body horror. So I was like, oh shit, let me read about this some more. I was like, okay, let's go see it. I texted you. I was like, hey, I'm gonna go see this movie. And then I was like, holy shit, it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. Ugh. So when I saw early access tonight, I was like, you know what? I could just go ahead and do it now. That way I don't have to miss any football time this weekend watching a 2.5 hour movie. And let me tell you, this movie deserves the marketing that See No Evil or Speak No Evil got. More people need to know about this movie. So I guess I'll get us started with our general thoughts here. I fucking loved it. You want to talk about wildly entertaining? That's what this movie was.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to say it's perfect. There's certainly some issues or some eyebrows raised, particularly in the third act. But just general thoughts, man. I was pleased with my decision to go see this movie. It was a lot of fun. So there's my general thoughts. What about you?
All right. Wednesday night, 7 o'clock viewing. Me and Dustin are both saying at work today. I'm tired, man. This movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes. I am not looking forward to this, but we got to make hashtag content.
Yep.
I was very pleased as well. Like, I mean, you look at the cast. Like, let's just get out of the way. Both of the stars are beautiful. I got to give Dennis Quaid his props too. You can think whatever you want
Oh,
to about him, but he was amazing as Harvey. Like he was that guy. Like he was him in this.
yeah.
Demi was fantastic. Margaret was fantastic. The sound design was incredible. The camera work, like this was some of the most unique camera work I've ever seen. Like
Hmm.
the close ups on everything. Like it was a very, very personal movie.
Yeah.
I I I have questions like you do as well. It's kind of mostly about Demi Moore's character as things go on. Like she's able to do things that she wasn't able to do earlier, but she's more progressed. I mean, we can talk about that maybe off screen because we don't want to spoil anything because the movie's coming out tomorrow or today whenever you listen to it. But yeah, my general thoughts was I was very pleasantly surprised, and I think I got a scab on the bottom of my chin from my jaw hitting the floor.
Yeah, for sure. And typically when we do these instant reactions, a lot of the time we say, "Hey, spoiler alert!" We're not going to spoil this movie because it literally it's not even out yet for the wide release. It's a limited release tonight when we saw it. So we're going to give you all a chance to go watch this over the weekend and go in with just our very vague thoughts on the movie. So I'll go ahead and get started with our positives. First of all, it's original. Oh my
Yep.
God. So refreshing. The story is unlike anything that I've ever seen before. Now, the premise, I guess, isn't that original. You take a substance that rejuvenates you. Okay. It sounds generic off rip like that, but man, it's unique. I want to commend Demi Moore, just the vulnerability that she showed. I'm not talking about her character. I'm talking about her. Demi Moore to bear all in this movie like she did, and but not only that, take on a role that deals with you know Hollywood and the vicious cycle of chewing you up and spitting you out once you reach a certain age or look, being done with you. I That's incredible vulnerability from Demi Moore, and I can't commend her enough for being that bold and taking that chance. Um, I think the themes in the movie are incredible. You know, it's kind of like a Lost Boys type thing. The desire, the quest for immortality and being young forever, and just doing whatever it takes with no real regard for the consequences to achieve that. Incredible. I think there's also a lot to be said about, it wasn't lost on me that Dennis Quaid and the shareholders, it's a bunch of old white guys that set the standard for beauty in Hollywood. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Hmm.
And even he's so two-faced. He's like, "Oh, I love you, but really get out of my face. Give me a younger version of you." Um, I thought that was incredible. The sound design, like you said, great. The cinematography, great. The editing, the
Hmm.
transitions from scene to scene, unique, fresh. Love that. Um, and also the effects and makeup crew worked their ass off. They earned every single penny. I thought the effects and the gore and it was so gross looking because it didn't look fake. Like even the absurdities that we see in that third act, it looked believable. It looked real, and it looked incredible. So that's some of my positives. I'll let you go. If I think of any more, I'll say them after you.
Yeah, I think I pretty much echo what everything you say, but I do want to read some from IMDb, kind of what you mentioned about Demi Moore. She said she was nervous about filming full nudity, and I say full nudity because she is,
Hmm.
at age 61 and felt vulnerable, but she credited co-star Margaret Qualley, I think is how you say her name. I'm not sure. She's who's 29, so there's a big age gap, who played a younger version of her and also performed totally naked, with making her feel comfortable on set. Moore said she found someone who was a great partner who I felt very safe with. We obviously were quite close, naked, and we also got a lot of levity in those moments at how absurd those certain situations were. I agree, man.
Hmm.
It's a lot to ask an actress specifically because you see them naked more in movies than actors.
Hmm.
I give her big props as well because I don't like. Obviously, we weren't on set, so we don't know if there was any touch ups, makeups, editing or not. But it looked pretty. It looked raw to me, like she was fully naked, her real self on there. So big props to her. Uh, Definitely, 'cause that takes a lot of courage. I pretty much already said my positives. I thought, like you said, the cinematography really stuck out to me. Like this movie is gross in a lot
Yeah.
of ways. Like I watched an interview before and after I got back from seeing the movie, and it's from Collider, and the lady brought up how disgusting it was Dennis Quaid eating those shrimp.
Oh yeah.
It was so gross. Like the movie like has so many close up shots of like mouse and like the wrinkles under Demi Moore's eyes, and it's very raw and like it really paints a really good picture of like image, like you said, and like the guys interviewing like the all doing the auditions for the next dance class or whatever, how they're so judgmental. Like it feels authentic to what Hollywood is, and
Yeah.
I give them big props and great camera work. Like there
Yeah.
was a lot of close ups on a lot of stuff, like
Yeah.
the jazzercise and all that. Like it was raw. Like
Yeah.
and you some people I feel may get offended, but I'm just thankful that a woman, a female, wrote and directed this movie because whew, yeah, I can hear the misogynistic and
Oh yeah.
exploitative narratives getting thrown out if a guy wrote this. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure. And something else I want to give the movie props for. I thought 2 hours and 20 minutes, like you said, we're both dreading it, especially after we've worked all day and we got to get up and do it again tomorrow because we don't do this podcast as our full time jobs yet. Speaking that into existence, but when I see that runtime, I was like, oh god! But the pacing was great. I mean, the third act drug a little bit, but I think it's just because of how absurd it was that it felt like it was going on forever. But even in hindsight, leaving the theater, I was like, okay, like no, yeah, that was great. The pacing was great from start to finish. I thought
It was.
the movie was funny, and it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
funny as in that was stupid. I think it was intentionally funny and done and executed flawlessly. Like I got, and it wasn't just me. I was in a cram packed theater. I say that there was probably 20 people in there. which is a lot for a Wednesday night on a movie that has no no real marketing. Um, it wasn't just me laughing. Like we all got a good chuckle when we were supposed to laugh. None of us laughed at moments that were like, "Oh, that's so cheesy." We're laughing because it's bad. It was good. Um, the last positive that I'll say, and then we can move on, is this movie really felt like, and we've been on DGOT the series. We've been covering Black Mirror lately. We're about to wrap that up this week. This movie felt like a long episode of Black Mirror,
Yep,
and
it
I
sure
mean
did.
that as a compliment. So that was awesome. But do you have
I
any?
want to touch on the marketing thing, like you mentioned, and the social media numbers and followers aren't everything. But let's just put this in perspective. I'm on X Twitter. Alien Romulus has 102.3 thousand followers. Guess how many uh the substance has?
How many did you say Romulus has?
Let me bring it back up.
Sorry.
102.3 thousand followers.
Okay. Oh, if that's all that that movie has, because that one had a lot of marketing. This one probably 10,000.
1.2K. You have
Well,
more followers than this movie.
I have more followers than this movie. That's
Yes.
incredible.
A movie that has Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley in it, or Qualley, I
And
don't know
Dennis
how.
Quaid.
Dennis Quaid, yeah. So I mean, that just tells you how little this movie is known. I mean,
And
and
you
it
know,
deserved better. But
I will.
my theater was packed.
Yeah,
The only seats that were open was row A, the very front.
yeah.
Everything else was full.
Mine wasn't as packed as yours, but I looked at the picture you sent. My auditorium was quite a bit bigger than the one you were in.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say it was just going off of what I saw around me and then seeing the picture of yours. I would say it's pretty close. I said 20 people in there. It was more than that. Now that I think about it, but it was probably close. That's impressive. We always say support cinema, and damn it, you did it tonight, people. Um,
Damn sure did. I got to tell a funny story there real quick.
yeah, go for
I was walking in, and or actually I was walking out to go get some napkins or whatever, and I saw an Asian family of four, a mother and three kids, walk in,
it. Oh
and I was like,
God.
I don't think they're in the right theater because Transformers was re-showing tonight too, and they all
Oh.
had their little Transformers book. And when I got back, I was walking in, I saw all of them running out, and I was dying laughing on the inside. That was funny. I don't
Yeah,
think y'all went to the right
wrong
auditorium.
theater. Wrong theater. Um, and speaking of marketing, I do remember a couple months ago when I was walking into the Regal Cinemas Pinnacle Stadium 18 in Knoxville. I did see a poster for this movie, but even the poster, like now that I've seen the movie, like yeah, that's a cool poster. I would hang that on my wall. But at the time, posters at the theater are supposed to draw you in, make you like, oh, what's this about? Or oh, I want to see this. The poster is just a very generic, like white poster with a vial of green substance on it, and it says the substance. The cast name isn't even really that highlighted on it. But I remember seeing that in hindsight, but even that poster wasn't up very long. Like they took it down pretty quickly and put something else up. And I was like, man, this movie just needed more. I haven't even looked at this is bad podcast talk, but I haven't even looked. I don't even know the studios behind this movie.
I don't either.
Um, but I wish, man, I wish that someone, even A24 doesn't market all their movies the way I feel they should. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like this story they probably would have. I feel like more people would hear about it before
they
now
they should have like
because it doesn't it fit like it
yeah.
fits.
I all right. Whenever I was getting my popcorn tonight and my snacks and all that, the cashier, the vendor, whoever it was, whatever you call him, he's like, "What are you seeing?" And I was like, "I'm going to see the substance." I was like, "I don't know much about it." He's like, "Well, let me know how it is after." And I made sure I went back and told him, I was like, "Hey, man, it was a weird one." He's like, "What kind of weird?" I was like, "Do you like A24 movies?" He's like, "Yeah, I love them." I was like, "You'll like this one. Go see it." It's like, why didn't A24 do this?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
That's
this is significantly better than the front room.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's about as weird as Beau is Afraid, but better than the front room. That's that's good comps there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know, like I don't understand like why they didn't do Barbarian. Like I know you weren't the biggest fan, but that movie fits like A24. Like I don't understand why they didn't
Yeah.
pick the substance up. And like I remember texting you while I was in line in the concessions. I was like, bro, like the ratings are really good for this movie
Yeah,
right now. Like it's sitting at a 7.9 on IMDb. I
yeah,
mean, it's only got 2,600 reviews so far. That's pretty damn good.
yeah. And it's I looked after I left
I'm
the
gonna
theater.
give it at least an 8. Like
It's
it ain't
a
gonna.
it's a 4 on Letterboxd, and Letterboxd, is typically more cynical, um, more harsh, but it's got 4 on IMDb. So yeah, well, let's go ahead and jump into the negatives. I'm just gonna call out a couple. To me, there were some things that happened as a little too convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Like this isn't spoiling anything, but when she gets her package to start this process, there's no fucking directions at all, no instructions at all. She just knows how to do it. It's like, all right. And also, I'm not shit talking Margaret Qualley's, you know, carpentry skills or contractor skills, but bullshit on
Yeah.
on one
Yeah.
scene. There's
Yeah.
no fucking way she could do that. But and I'll leave it at that. Um,
She has no
and then,
know how,
huh?
right? She has no know how, right?
Yeah,
I mean, she's just. See, I don't know how
she
to talk about this without spoiling. I mean, we got to give him like the general concept, right?
she's
Like, is that
essentially
spoiling?
just she's essentially just a spawned clone with no previous knowledge. Like that's not a spoiler.
Yeah. I mean,
You
yeah,
get that.
exactly.
You kind of get that from the trailer. Um, and then my other, I guess, issue, qualm is that third act. Like, there's something that happens, and I'm not going to spoil it, but it's not consistent with the rest of the movie. It's not consistent with the process that we saw for 2/3 of the movie. And then shit starts happening, and it's like, okay, how is this possible? And you and I can talk about that off air, so you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think
Yeah.
the listeners, when you see it happen, you'll be like, yeah, how is that possible? But and then it's just like I said, the pacing is great throughout, but that third act does go on a little too long, particularly like the actual finale could have been wrapped up because the whole time it's happening, I honestly thought, oh, it's gonna be a dream or something. She's gonna be like, this is gonna be a glimpse into what it could be if she goes down this road. There's no way this is happening because it's going on too long. It's way too absurd. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to tell you whether that's the case or not because I've already said too much. But that's my biggest two issues that I have with it. I don't have many cons to the movie.
I agree with you about not really having pacing issues, but I do think you could shorten some scenes up
Mm-hmm.
because it's essentially, uh, how do I say this without spoiling anything? It's it's kind of formulaic after a certain point. Like this shit happens and this shit happens and this and this and this. I feel like they linger on like some scenes a little too long. Like when she's doing her classes, like they do a lot of like shots just going in between all the bodies. Like you could speed some of that stuff up just to shorten the runtime a little bit. They do that a lot though. Like even like Dennis Quaid eating the shrimp, like that's a good 2 minutes maybe of him just eating shrimp and talking. Like does it need to be that long? I don't know,
Yeah.
but you could. I mean, it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. You can trim it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
One of my biggest qualms, and I'm sure you might agree, but it involves to me more as the movie goes on. Like there's one scene where she's on a couch and needs to go get a present and like
Mm-hmm.
she can't walk, but then later on, like as thing goes
Yes.
on, she can run and like the math just ain't mathing, but
Yeah.
it didn't really explain the process of this process either. So I don't know, it just kind of stuck out as kind of weird to me because it involves age and all that. So I'll just leave it at that because I don't want to spoil anything for the listeners. We can talk about this off air, but that
Yeah.
just kind of
No.
was weird to me.
100% right. I
And I felt bad for the guy who like was rizzing her up and like he was finally going to go on a date with him.
Yeah, man, he didn't deserve that.
Yeah, like come on,
But
man, it's the
but
worst feeling in the world.
when people you care about. Anyway, but I do think though that was a good scene because
It
it showed
was.
like she was paralyzed by
Mm-hmm.
her insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
She just she dealt with self worth and self image because she's like, oh, I'm not pretty anymore, and I thought that was incredibly well done. But you're right, that guy did not deserve that.
And and it was funny because she just kept changing her look every time she saw Sue,
Yep.
but she forgot. I think it was a really good message, man. Like you're, I hate that some people are probably going to forget the message just from the absurdity at the end. But it's like you just need to love yourself, man.
Live in the moment.
Yeah,
Live in the
love
moment.
yourself.
Don't get wrapped up in what I could be or what I used to be, because you're going to age even more as time goes and you're going to miss this, and it's only going to get worse. So live in the
Hmm.
moment. Love yourself. Absolutely right. Um, all right, we've gone about 20 minutes now, and
Without spoiling, it
without
was hard.
spoiling. So
It was
that's a
tough.
yeah, it's impressive that we've done that, because this is a movie I definitely want to talk about, and I think that if you go see it, you will as well. Um, I'll just, I haven't rated it on Letterboxd yet, but I'm going to as soon as we end this. I'm sitting at about a 4.5, probably
Same.
4.5. Honestly, I love this movie. Nico and I, we talk about this a lot. Is this a top 5 movie you've seen of 2024 horror movie? And a lot of times, like, it's close, or I can't. I'd have to really think about it. This one is, something's getting bumped from the top 5 to make room for this one. I enjoyed it that much. Super fun movie. You got any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Nah, I'm probably in the same rating as you, 4.5, probably 4.5, just because when I left the theater, man, people were talking. Like it wasn't
Mhm.
just people walking out and leaving. Like groups of friends were like bundled up, huddled up. Like they were laughing. Some of them thought the end. I heard one guy's like, "Man, my edible kicked in like an hour into it." I was like, I bet you he had a fucking experience on that." But like this is what cinema's supposed to do. Like, I mean, there's some movies that are just cut and dry. You know what you're getting, and if you go see a Spider-Man movie, you're going to see a Spider. And I'm not throwing shade at Spider-Man. I like those movies, but this
Yeah.
movie had people talking. It had like, did you like it? Did I like it? The third act, blah 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 blah. Like that's what I was so flabbergasted. Like I felt like I was walking through the theater like with my mouth open still, just because I was so shocked. And
Yeah.
that's what I want from movies these days. Like I don't know. That's what I like.
I mean, same. It's got that art house feel to where this movie is not supposed to appeal to everyone. This movie is
Hmm.
supposed to invoke thought and challenge norms, and it's not formulaic. That's what. So Brian gives me a lot of shit, and you laugh at it, and I laugh at it too. 'Cause it's funny. Every time that I see a movie like this, I'm like, God, that was weird, but I loved it. And like, Brian gives me a lot of shit about that, but it's true. I like movies that I don't feel. I can confidently say I don't feel like I've ever seen anything like this movie before, and
Yeah.
that's what I crave: originality, new ideas, and this was a
Before
good
we end, let me just tell you something. Like we're doing a Darren Aronofsky movie tomorrow, but he doesn't even get mad if people boo it. Like if he like there's screenings like and
one. Mhm.
he's at, he doesn't even get mad if people boo his movies because he wants a reaction,
Yeah,
and I think that's powerful.
yeah.
Like whether you've liked or disliked the substance, you're gonna feel some type of way. It's not Halloween Part 44.
That's confidence. That's being comfortable in your own skin, and that's a luxury that I feel like a lot of filmmakers don't have. A lot of people are too self conscious to take risks like that. So hats off to him for sure. Hats off to Ari Aster. Hats off to Robert Eggers. Anyone that makes original content like this movie. And I'm not going to get out of here without saying her name after I just listed those other people. So let me look it up. That is
It's not
poor
easy to say.
form.
She's French. She's
Oh
French, so
God, Lord bear me strength. Um,
yeah. Good
Her
luck,
name
brother.
is, oh shit, Coralie Fargiat. Fargeet. Fargeet. God, that sucks that I don't know how to say that. I apologize, ma'am. You made a fantastic movie. You deserve me knowing how to say your name. So I promise you I will
And
learn.
she's not well known. Like I
No,
looked up her other stuff. Like
yeah,
she just wrote a good movie and directed a good movie and nailed it.
I'll tell you this. She's got a movie called Revenge that is the first thing listed on her filmography, and I'm going to seek that movie out because of the substance. Like that's how good this movie. I did the same thing with my favorite filmmaker, Martin McDonough. When the first movie I saw of his was In Bruges, and I was like, God, I love that movie. So I went and sought out his other 3 movies that he made, and he is 4 for 4. He has not missed yet 4 classics. So I'm going to do the same thing with her films now because that's how impactful this movie was. But All right. I think we've rattled on enough. We want to
Been a
thank
good
you all
year of
for
horror to me. Been
this has
real
been a
good. It's
great
only getting better.
this has been a great year of horror, and we still have more to come. Like there's a lot of good movies lined up.
Yeah, like
So,
Terrifier 3.
oh come on, you had to. We were on such a good roll,
I
but
mean, Nosferatu.
yeah, there you go, there you go. But yeah, support cinema like we always say. Thank you all for tuning in. Go watch this movie. Go watch all movies. Just do it. See y'all next time.